Bienvenue. I'm Alex Ogilvie-Rutter from the International Solar Alliance. Sorry, we're running just a little bit late. We're trying to get the translation working. We're just having an issue with the translation, but our IT team's working on the translation right now.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Hi.
So my sincere apologies. Thank you so much, Dr. Birthday, for your patience. I actually hadn't intended to say much. I originally intended a presentation, but we have such fantastic speakers, including Mr. Birthday, and also representatives from various long-duration energy storage companies. So I want to keep my remarks extremely short. The premise here is, as many of you know, for many ISA countries, solar is the cheapest new electricity generation option in West Africa, but also in Latin America, East Africa, Middle East, South Asia, and many other geographies. The challenges, of course, are twofold. One is the intermittency, and the second is time shifting. So when the sun is not shining, when it's nighttime. And so long duration energy storage is effectively a solution to both these problems. And so here at the International Solar Alliance, we want to join forces with the Long Duration Energy Storage Council to kind of exchange ideas and share how we can help meet full 24/7 grid reliability using solar with our friends Long Duration Energy Storage. So again, I want to leave lots and lots of time for our speakers. So with that, I'll hand it off to my good friend and colleague, Julia Souther.
Good day, everyone. It's great to be here, and thank you, Alex, so very much for your collaboration, your partnership, and really looking forward to the conversation today. As many of us are all experiencing around the world, we've had continual events of climate drought, wildfires, extreme cold, extreme heat. We've had climate events that are in rising temperatures that have been going on for the last 8 years. And as we're doing this, it's affecting the climate dependent generation that we're using for moving to our clean energy transition. And this is creating a greater need for long duration energy storage to provide this flexibility. And as Alex pointed out, we need to have this energy shifting to make sure that we can have clean energy and solar 24/7. And that's a large benefit that long duration energy storage can provide to really give flexibility, resiliency, reliability, and affordability to energy systems around the world. And we look forward, as the Long Duration Energy Storage Council, working together with partners and stakeholders in countries to really increase the awareness of the critical need for long duration. Next, thanks. So what we're also pointing out is that every part of our economy, our local communities, our regional, our country interests are all interconnected by the growing need and critical role of long duration energy storage, whether you're local system community center, whether you're agriculture, industry, whether it's buildings in commercialization, whether it's transportation, whether it's ports, all of these, whether it's commercial sites, mine organizations, there's so many different types of industries that are affected. And so again, strengthening these partnerships is so critical to really provide long duration energy storage in all these different areas of our economies. And what we're seeing around the world too is how energy security and affordability are so key to reaching our decarbonization goals. And we can do this as we move forward to the 1.5 degrees Celsius targets, and how much we have to scale up every year to meet this goal and really decrease emissions so that we can all have the health benefits. But there's been examples around the world of just how much oil, gas, and coal dependence there are, and how to really kind of fill in these gaps with solar, wind, and renewable resources. And again, to make sure that this is 24/7, and long duration energy storage can do this. And so one thing that we wanted to show is this flexibility as we move to replace gas plants globally. There's a lot of work happening with different types of batteries and long duration energy storage. And so we're really trying to, again, show this flexibility gap of how to have net zero targets be met with solar. And we're doing this by increasing the integration of long duration energy storage. And there's a lot of conversation about lithium ion, which is really important for short duration. But when you get to the 8 hour, the 10 hour plus, the multi-day, the seasonal, the monthly needs for clean energy, you need to bring in the diversity of long duration energy storage. And what we're demonstrating too is that when you have a large amount of renewable energy on the grid, over 60%, you have a huge kind of savings with long duration energy storage. And when we're looking at how to define long-duration energy storage and provide the flexibility, there is the power sector and providing electricity, there's the heat sector and the hydrogen sector. And there's many different pathways to reach the demand for the variable renewable energy sources. And we're really providing a multitude of benefits by ensuring that when there is excess wind or solar, we can store it for multiple hours and then reuse it when we need to later on in the day, in the week, in the month, or even a different season. And so this flexibility of the system really does help lower costs and give more infrastructure benefits of whether you're deferring transmission or generation, or whether you're looking at different types of off-grid power systems and heat systems. So again, what's really exciting is that there's so much value in long-duration energy storage, providing this flexibility, this energy shifting. We're making sure that you can see that this is happening in different ways of supporting island grids, remote systems, various industries, and again, just providing that firming and reliability services with different types of renewable power purchase agreements. And a couple of more things on the next slide just wanted to highlight is that, in addition to power and heat services, there are so many system services of providing frequency response, voltage control, short level improvement, black start capabilities. There's interday, as I mentioned, the multi-hours, the multi-week, and the seasonal aspects that the diverse long-duration storage can provide. So really helping with grid congestion and addressing and mitigating extreme weather events and the variability. And then on this side, this really kind of helps introduce the council. We are a global organization representing diverse companies from around the world, providing both a really true intermix of the 4 different types of long-duration energy storage, from chemical, thermal, electrochemical, and mechanical, to that are available multiple hours, multiple days and seasons, but also bringing together, anchor members where there's customers, service providers, capital providers, equipment manufacturers, all working on the entire ecosystem to provide fact-based information for society's benefit. And so we work with partners around the world in many countries to really start providing the information and the value add of long-duration energy storage. And we have 4 public reports on our website promoting the $4 trillion marketplace for long-duration energy storage and demonstrating that there are $540 billion of savings a year when you bring long-duration energy storage in to utilize benefits of solar and wind and really provide the maximum value of all the solar plants that exist. Or we have policy toolkit to really help change and adapt policies to create markets and really help local communities on achieving the savings and the benefits of long-duration energy storage paired with renewables. And we've worked on a 24/7 clean power purchase agreement and really starting to push forward that accountability for every hour of every day, every week of every month being met with clean energy, and that pairing of solar and storage and how critical it is. And then our net zero heat that we launched at COP27, demonstrating the diversity of thermal energy storage that is, many types of long duration are commercial today. And the issue now is really scaling them up and really trying to show again how to replace gas plants and different types of fossil fuel infrastructure with long duration energy storage. And so that's just a quick overview of long duration energy storage, but again, look forward to the partnership with ISA and all of you to continue to expand the knowledge on what's available in the different projects of LDES. So I'll hand it over to the Natural Resources Defense Council.
Thank you so much, Julia. Good morning, everyone. And today I have the wonderful opportunity of joining all of you to share some views on the global solar and storage situation, some Africa-specific projects, and of course, I will end my presentation with discussing some challenges in securing the energy transition, especially with the focus on Africa. Next slide, please. Thank you. So last year was a benchmark year where for the first time, global investment in low carbon energy transition sectors reached or crossed the $1 trillion threshold, of which almost 30% or $308 billion went to the solar sector alone. If you look at the bar graph on your left-hand side, solar PV is leading the charts in terms of power sector investment across the world in the last 4 years. And right at the right-hand corner, you see battery storage investments increasing as well in the last 4 years. I would encourage folks to look at the IRENA report recent investment report and the IEA reports to find out more on this. Next slide, please. In the last year, the International Energy Agency came out with the Africa Energy Outlook. And under their Sustainable Africa scenario, if you look out to 2032 forecasts, you find that solar PV will end up being the most competitive large-scale energy sector for the African continent. The key, however, is increasing investments in the sector and to make sure that low-cost financing is available across the 50 plus countries in the continent. Next slide, please. In terms of forecasts for the energy storage systems around the world, Bloomberg did some work on this. And last year, energy storage reached a record in terms of adding about 16 gigawatts of new capacity. And across the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region, that is how they club the three parts of the world, they expect that this capacity is likely to reach 14 gigawatts by the end of the decade. So there is room to grow, and it's important that the scaling up happens with the necessary support in place. Next slide, please. Here I'm quickly going to walk you through some of the forecasts for sub-Saharan annual new energy storage build-outs that's expected in the regions in West, East, and Southern Africa. Bloomberg expects that by the end of the decade, the energy storage build-out will hit about gigawatts a year. And most of this will be for energy shifting purposes. In terms of new projects in the last 6 months of 2022, various countries either commissioned them or started building new storage projects. This ranged from Malawi to Niger to South Africa to Nigeria to Ghana. And then more projects have been announced since then, since January. So I think Africa is on a good path of building up its energy storage sector. Next slide, please. In terms of challenges in securing the energy transition, it's very important that Africa gets a bigger share of global investments flowing to it. Between 2000 and 2020, only 2% of the global renewables investment actually went to Africa. And that's a very small share, and that needs to grow. It's important that climate finance is made more accessible for the continent. And African leaders must focus on providing modern energy solutions to their people. There are some good examples of this, of how energy transition needs are being financed through some interesting combination of solutions. The JETPs, or the Just Energy Transition Partnerships that were announced for South Africa in 2021, is now progressing significantly. A lot of that work will be focused on moving South Africa away from coal and towards cleaner and renewables-based energy options. The other interesting combination or support scheme is IRENA's Energy Transition Accelerator financing platform. They are looking to mobilize close to $1 billion in renewable energy projects in developing countries. And I think they just approved their first project, which was for Uzbekistan, and about 900 megawatts of solar. So there are emerging trends of finding new sources for finance, but I think the rate of change needs to be faster, and we need to work together to accelerate the decarbonization and to make energy access a priority, especially in Africa. So, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Shruti. We're now going to move to Dr. Berthe. And my apologies, Dr. Berthe, but I'm not sure we're going to have translation, but go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, Dr. Berthe.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I can go?
Go ahead.
Okay. No. No, I want to, okay. Presentation is French. No, I want to speak in English. That we have no translation, okay?
Yes, if you can speak in English, that's great. But if you want to speak in French, we'll muddle through. Those of us who can speak a bit of French.
Yeah, presentation in French, and I will speak in English. Or you can translate.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dr.
Yes.
Berthe. I think we'll just gotta have to do the best.
Okay, thank you very much. I will go. Okay, presentation. I want to present the integration of solar and load balancing in West Africa, case Mali. Okay, Mali, like other West African country, is facing an energy deficit. Several initiatives are underway to reduce this deficit and improve the energy mix. Given the very high and well-distributed potential in West Africa, solar energy appears to be the best solution. Next. Next, Mali has a high potential for solar energy, like more country Africa. In Mali, irradiation of solar is 5 to 7 kilowatt hours by square meter. Yes, all the territory. The national energy policy aim to achieve a 25% target for renewable energy in the energy mix by 2036, excluding large hydro. To this end, the government of Mali has made a lot of efforts, including the adaptation in 2020 of the law exempting renewable energy equipment for import and opening up the sector to public-private participation. Next. Next. The integration rate of solar energy in Mali is about 40% of with the largest photovoltaic plant having in capacity 50 megawatts for national grid and 95 megawatts for self-generation. It is for mining and also several other solar power plant projects are in development. Among we have the solar park, 50 megawatt with the International Solar Alliance that we are implemented pilot project for 100 megawatts in Dumba near Bamako with storage 20 megawatt hours. We have also some big park with West African Power Pool, WAP, 300 megawatts. It is for regional project park with storage 30 megawatt hours storage. We have also 100 megawatts in Safo and Kambila, 93 megawatts in Tuna. Next. In order to facilitate the integration of solar energy, Mali have undertaken several actions. The Minister in charge of energy has commissioned a study on the integration of solar generation on electricity grid in Mali for the horizon 2035. The study is currently being finalized. The development of a less cost production, this is another study, 22 to 2022 to 2040. Storage with storage 370 megawatt hours. The study is also underway to enable to injection of low voltage solar energy in the distribution network. It is self-production and rooftop. Okay, next. Solar integration is at the center of all sub-regional policy. The ECOWAS master plan of the development of regional generation and transmission facility. This plan is a 2019 to 2033, adopted on 22 December by the additional act. This is our you can read billion for generation project with capacity of 50.49 gigawatts, including 26 gigawatts in solar, and the project of 22.900 kilometers for line. Well, this is a big project, West African power pool. Donc it is, we need so big solar plant and balancing with storage to be distributed in the line. The Desert of Power, the Desert of Power initiative launched by the African Development Bank, AFDB, aimed to transform the Sahel region by developing and implementing up 10 gigawatts of solar energy through a combination of public-private on-grid and off-grid projects in 11 countries: Mauritania, Senegal, Mali, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Djibouti by 2030. In order to promote the implementation of priority projects of the West African Power Pool, the Secretary of WAP, African Power Pool, and the member country have started prepared for the implementation of following priority interconnection projects. No. We have the Volta, Ghana, Lomé, Togo. It is an interconnection between West African country. Well, we have first, it is the Volta, Ghana, Lomé. We have second, Guinea, Mali. We have also Nigeria, Niger, Togo, Benin, the Ghana, Burkina Faso, Mali, it is another. The Trans-Saharan voltage power interconnection with dorsal project. It is for G5 Sahel country. This dorsal come to Chad, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and go to Mauritania. This is a big project from West Africa, and so West African Power Pool is developing storage in all the country for good translation energy between and exchange energy between this country. Thank you very much.
Merci, Dr. Barthe. Thanks so much. I really apologize
Yes.
again for the translation not working, but I think it was a very interesting presentation nonetheless, and really highlights the challenges and also the opportunity, the huge investments and ambition you have out there in Mali and in the West African region more generally. So with that, we're going to pass off to some of the technology providers, starting with Aram from ESS. So please do take it away.
Thanks, Alex, and thanks, Julia from LDES, for your leadership in organizing today's webinar. If we go to the next slide, please. I thought I'd just give a brief introduction of who we are and why we're here. At ESS, our mission is really to accelerate global decarbonization, irrespective of the region, by providing safe, sustainable, and reliable long-duration energy storage. And that storage is meant to power people, communities, and businesses with clean, renewable energy anytime and anywhere it's needed. As we've discussed earlier in today's webinar, as more renewable energy is added to the grid, long-duration energy storage is really the most important tool in that Swiss Army knife to providing the reliability and the resiliency that economies need when the sun is not shining and when the wind is not blowing. Our technology specifically uses earth-abundant iron, salt, and water. We're an iron flow battery. And our iron flow batteries, which are commercially available today, are delivering environmentally safe solutions capable of providing up to 12 hours of flexible energy capacity for commercial and utility scale customers. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So before I get into how long duration energy storage can really unlock or open opportunities within Africa, I think it's important to level set here in terms of the size and scale of the market. While the rate of access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa as a whole has risen from about 33% in 2010 to roughly 46, 48% by 2020, there are 570 million people who still lack access to reliable and affordable electricity. Access in sub-Saharan Africa continued to rise over the past decade, primarily thanks to the deployment of microgrids. There are some 1,500 mini grids and microgrids that are in use across Africa today, with plans to install 4,000 more, according to SMAP over at the World Bank. So as Africa's energy needs are growing, it's also raising the pressure to invest in infrastructure and energy technologies that can power the social, economic, and industrial growth sustainably and equitably over the coming decades. So that sort of brings us to, today's topic. Africa's abundance of renewable resources, including solar, really positions it to transition successfully from a non-renewable to a renewable powerhouse over the next decade. So if we look at this slide here, if you could go back one, please. This is really a great visualization, I think, that captures some of what we discussed earlier in terms of how long duration energy storage can really supercharge the renewable sector in Africa. The abundance of solar and wind, particularly in markets like Kenya, where the Lake Turkana wind project came online a few years back, can really help balance the intermittency of those abundant resources. So what are some of those specific use cases? We've talked about shifting PV and wind power to store the excess renewables produced when available, and then shift that energy to when it's needed by both industry and individuals. LDES also is ideally suited to smooth renewable intermittency and instantly react to changes in renewable generation output with fast, and in our technology's case, unlimited cycling capacity. But I think more importantly, just as the African continent sort of leapfrogged the whole landline era, right? and went directly to mobile phones for everything from communicating to mobile payments, and really led the world in that regard. Long duration energy storage has the ability to help Africa leapfrog again by augmenting or replacing polluting plants. It can help clean up the resource mix by augmenting or replacing so many of the fossil fuel-based plants throughout the continent. And next slide, please. So in terms of where we stack up and where we see a real advantage, particularly in Africa, our technology can deliver no capacity fade and no power fade, irrespective of how many times the battery has been cycled, which sort of differentiates us positively from shorter duration solutions like lithium ion. Because there's no degradation curve, that results in a lower levelized cost of storage compared to other technologies. We have the same fast response time as several competing technologies, but where we sort of break away is our cycle life and the $0 marginal cost per cycle that we can deliver. And then finally, our safe and non-toxic batteries do not pose any thermal runaway risk. They have a wide operating temperature range that's really well suited for the African continent. And they can be deployed in a wide range of geographies without the traditional HVAC, hazmat requirements, which really makes them more competitive on a CapEx and OpEx basis. And then finally, you know, as we seek to help Africa sort of leapfrog again in the renewable energy space, sustainability is something really important, I think, for investors and developers and certainly end users. We are not reliant on any rare earth or critical minerals or materials. The cost of sourcing our materials is much less than traditional battery technologies. So we offer environmental, health, safety, and sustainability advantages to our customers. Next slide, please. So we've sort of covered how we stack up, but I'd also like to talk about a project that will be kicking off very soon. ESS, as some of you might know, was selected last year by Eurafrique Oil and Coastal Services Limited, the owner of the Sapele Power Plant in Sapele State, Nigeria, to provide long-duration energy storage services to help partially green that facility. The project itself is going to help Sapele charge during off-peak hours or during time over voltage, reduced load at the main plant turbines, and to then use that stored energy for load smoothing, peak demand shifting, and voltage level regulation with the main turbines. The stored energy is then going to be discharged during higher priced peak use times to minimize fast load ramp impacts on the turbines. And what we're most pleased with is that our customer received financing from the Export-Import Bank of the United States of America. This represents US EXIM's first energy storage transaction ever, and we're particularly pleased that it was awarded the Sub-Saharan Africa Deal of the Year last year by US EXIM. And we really view this as sort of a replicable project, right? Again, as operators seek to transition from costly and polluting hard fuel-fired plants, long-duration energy storage can certainly help in the short term. And in the long term, as we work to unlock the vast solar potential in Africa, can certainly help extend the sun into nighttime hours, peak demand hours, and truly create baseload solar in a really exciting part of the world. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Alex, and look forward to answering any questions in the chat. And thanks again for having us today.
Thanks so much, Aram. And just for those of you who are listening, we will try and share these slides afterward, as well as contact details. And of course, there are lots of other LDS members, but this is a really fantastic show. What I especially like that you highlighted was that this is not, you know, future. This is not research. This is commercially available today. This is being financed and built today, which I think a lot of our members may not actually be aware of yet. So I really hope if there's one key takeaway everybody here gets, is that this is happening, this is real, we can do this now. And speaking of this is happening, this is real, we can do this now, I'd like to invite Anton Harris from Voith to talk about their solutions and some of the projects that they've deployed around the world.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, my name is Anton Harris from Voith. Brief introduction of Voith. We are a global technology leader for the supply of hydropower equipment. And one of the technologies that we provide is pumped storage plants. Brief introduction in terms of how a pumped storage plant works. You have a lower reservoir, you have an upper reservoir. In times of excess energy in the grid, you can pump up the water from the lower reservoir to the upper reservoir and store the energy, the water there. And then later, when the energy is needed, you let the water run down through the penstocks, and you generate the energy in times of need. At the moment, pump storage is the only possibility of storing excess energy in economically viable and large-scale way. In case of power failures, within only less than 100 seconds from standstill to full power, the units can be run up to supply the network with external energy supply. Next slide, please. In terms of pump storage in Africa, in South Africa, we supplied the equipment for the Ingula pump storage plant. That we supplied 4 pump turbines and motor generators rated at 342 megawatts each. It's a multi-purpose plant, not only for the grid stability, especially during the current load shedding issues, but it also has a black start capability in case of a complete grid failure. The whole grid can be restarted at Ingula, and also at 1 or 2 of the other pump storage plants. So Africa at the moment has in total 3 additional pump storage plants, Drakensberg, Palmit, and Steenbras. But with the current expansion of renewable energies in South Africa, there is a need of at least another 2 in the size of Ingula, so between 3 and 6 gigawatts of pump storage or storage is needed in the upcoming decades. Therefore, our next steps in terms of Africa, in this case, Southern Africa, the stakeholders need to consider that pump storage needs to be included in their long-term planning to enable the integration of the planned renewables in solar and wind. Next slide, please. An additional aspect with regards to pump storage is the hybrid concepts, where the energy generated from wind and solar can be used to, in their excess energy periods, to store the energy and to utilize the stored energy for during the night or and in times of too little wind, and these are already being implemented. Additionally, to utilize the surfaces of the upper and lower reservoirs, floating solar solutions are also being implemented. So there's a nice variety of hybrid concepts now in the making. Yes, so that's it from our point of view. We're happy to play our role within the aspect of ensuring that renewable energies can be integrated in the African continent with the help of pumped storage solutions. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Anton. We do have a question in the chat, which feel free to answer yourself. But I think I'm going to hand it back to Julia to have we got about 15 minutes for a panel discussion, and I'd ideally love a little bit of interaction, particularly with NRDC, with the work you've done, looking at the very high level. Suleiman, some of the very specific challenges you're facing in Mali and in West Africa, and I'd like a little bit of interaction in terms of how we can bring in problems and solutions. So with that, Julia, I'll pass it back to you to moderate the panel, and hopefully we'll get Suleiman and Anton back on video as well.
Great. Thank you, Alex. And thank you all for your fantastic presentations, really setting the stage of how critical long duration energy storage is, the diversity of what's available today in the marketplace, and how critical the policies, procedures, and support of communities is to incorporate in long duration energy storage to ensure we use solar 24/7. So I'd like to ask all of you, how does long duration energy storage fit into system planning? How are we able to look at the 4 different types of long duration energy storage, and where do you think solar and storage can be most beneficial? So Dr. Bertha, you mentioned Mali and West Africa and a lot of the projects that are coming forward. Could you speak a little bit more about what difference long duration energy storage can make with load balancing and maybe other examples of this partnership with solar and storage and what you see as a success? For Solomon, for Dr. Berthe?
Again, in French now.
Sure.
Or in English. No, I say one question is by me. Donc, I want to say that in Africa, we have all same problem. We have almost electricity is produced by diesel. Every country have one. So one production diesel and plus hydro somewhere. This is our reserve. That's we are balancing energy. Now every country have some politics to develop new solution to mix national grid to go to renewable energy, because it is for ecology it is better. And that's case we need the storage, or the storage to balance the grid to do no problem. That's we can our utility can take more energy in the grid. And also in the WAP we are integrate all every West African country to be one grid. This flexibility to give every country to do more solar energy or renewable energy depend of potential is in the country. No, we know that many countries have more potential is solar energy, because every country now developing solar plants, many solar plant park, and so on. As is the case of Mali, we have many projects for solar. We are developing now. In UMOA, we have a new rule that if you do solar plant, you need to do 25% of storage. It is minimalist. 25% of we are doing storage. That is for balancing national grid. And also in the West Africa, we have big project to balance regional grid. Every utility in the country need to do some storage in the country. So this calculation is doing by West African Power Pool. This is WAP. This is doing for give a rate for how many storage every national grid need to be balancing. Now this project, and so I will answer also. Now we are using for storage, many battery. The most is quality is lithium-ion battery. It is very high cost. Now we use also gel and so on battery. Now it's good. The solution is an eye battery because it is good. Africa is a very high country. We have high temperature. We need to use storage battery to can working in the high temperature. Lithium ion battery is good for like this. If you use another battery, you need to use air conditioner for container. Now here you put this battery. Good. Thank you.
No, thank you for demonstrating again the diversity of what's available to meet the different needs of different communities. When you have storage, you're able to use air conditioners to do different services to provide different continuity. I think your point about making the minimum 25% storage is really important. We need to continue to grow because of the enormity of solar that we want to have and the storage that needs to make sure we have it 24/7. And I like your point about the reliable service in the national grid of making sure you have storage, balancing renewable energy, and making sure you're having the services that are needed, and that West Africa is really moving forward in this. Shruti, in your presentation, you went through a variety of different graphs and projects and just the kind of expansion of what's happening in Africa. Can you expand a little bit more about, some of the policies, regulations that can help us really achieve these targets and help really move, African countries and communities forward to really make sure they have the clean energy 24/7?
Thank you, Julia, for your question. The reason why I chose to end my presentation with the significant shortfall in investments for renewable energy projects in Africa, and it's disheartening to see that only 2% of global investments in the renewable energy sector went into the continent, and even then there are significant disparities between regions. So North African countries have had a significantly different profile in terms of investments in renewables compared to, say, East African or Western African regional countries. And that disparity needs to be addressed very quickly. Climate financing provides some support, some additional support. The development banks provide some additional support. But I think as African countries continue to improve their energy access profiles and continue to expand their the energy supply, it's important that low risk financing is made available to these countries. And there are several forums where I think this discussion can happen, but particularly I think that the upcoming climate conversations in Bonn in June and then in Dubai need to be considered by policymakers and decision makers in Africa as a fora for pushing for more resources to be diverted to the continent for developing their clean energy transition practices. So that would be my.
Sure, Trey, I'm so glad you highlighted again that we have to, really call out the disparities and the fact that there's so much potential that all of our speakers and partners have highlighted that Africa can really bring to clean energy and just really being a leader in a variety of ways. It just needs to have additional funding and financing. And Aram highlighted that, the Import-Export Bank is helping, the World Bank is helping, as you mentioned. There are funding, but it is so small, we need to expand it. 2% is nothing. And so I'm so glad you're calling this out, because there is so much more public-private potential in the fact that in some of the reports that we published too, there's over 3 gigawatt hours of long duration energy storage, but that is again such a small percentage of what is possible. And so we really need to start helping scale up. And Aram, on your points with the financing of projects, and can you add a little bit more about what else help get started to help encourage other projects to get additional financing to bring the partnership of solar, wind, and long duration storage together?
Sure, but I think we need to level set and embrace a fact here, which is, yeah, there are many IFIs, but they don't always play nicely together in the sandbox, right? So obviously, as an American manufacturer of a commercially available LDES technology, our preference is USXM, and we encourage our customers in emerging markets to start that dialogue with XM and the banks that they guarantee, because XM is very forward-leaning. As I mentioned, we were sort of the first in terms of an energy storage transaction that reached financial close, but that's a replicable model. Certainly, Africa is really greenfield for this technology here, and I think one of the advantages that it presents, unlike more developed markets, is that you don't have these entrenched IRPs where the modeling has been done around 2 hours and 4 hours. You can sort of leapfrog again, just as Africa did with cell phones. They can really do the same, I think, with utility scale solar plus long duration energy storage. But I think to your broader point, the World Bank has been talking about, accelerating the deployment of energy storage for a long time, but I haven't really seen a lot of movement from the IFC in terms of actually bringing large, impactful projects to financial close. And to Shruti's point, I think a lot of these IFIs and donor agencies should be put on the spot in some upcoming forums. Less technical assistance and training and more financing of projects that will be built and that will benefit people that they can see and touch.
Well, thank you again for building on Shruti's points about, really calling out more needs to finance and really get money through the door. And we're working with partners in the World Bank and IFC, and we look forward to pushing them more to really start building more projects. And Anton, you mentioned, pumped hydro has been around for over a century. It's proven, it's reliable. What are some challenges that you see that we can overcome to really help bring more long duration and pumped hydro into Africa and West Africa?
Yes, thanks, Julia. Yeah, so of course the regional governments and the stakeholders who then play a role advising is needed. They of course have to appreciate this technology, make sure that it's in their term planning, that pump storage is considered correctly. I just know from experience in South Africa how I know that certain advisors to the government have been using, I wouldn't say wrong figures, but figures that have sort of not helped pump storage to be seen in a positive way. There's projects in the past that unfortunately due to other circumstances, the budgets were overshot, and they're using these figures instead of let's say globally renowned figures of what a plant should cost, and therefore they have not considered pump storage. So therefore we keep on encouraging stakeholders to make sure that they use the correct figures to make sure that pump storage is included in the long-term planning. And like I tried to explain, with the help of pump storage, renewable energies can be integrated easier to make sure that you have the balance and have the energy transition, especially now in South Africa, that is needed to also overcome the current energy constraints that we have there. So so therefore we appeal that these advisors and technical councils consider this accordingly. And we give guidance, of course, whenever needed.
So Anton, I'm hearing you build on Aram's point of getting the data and the modeling correct to make sure there is that level playing field so that you do really see the benefits of pumped hydro and really make sure that you can see it come to fruition sooner.
Exactly.
And so it's great to have all of you really kind of hone in on the need to really acknowledge the disparities and really really demonstrate the increase in financing that's needed today to really help bring the long duration energy storage technologies that are commercially available to bring into the marketplace so that we can bring the benefit to African communities and then really and promote their leadership and as Aram said, leapfrogging to kind of really address the next climate transition. And I, as was mentioned earlier, that what's a really true benefit of the partnership of solar and long duration energy storage and renewables is the fact that there are a lot of industrial commercial players who are maybe off the grid who can also benefit from solar and long duration energy storage as a solution. So there's, again, enormous amount of diversity and potential. There's a lot of financing that we need to encourage to make sure is really promoting the valuable resources in Africa and moving forward. So Alex, I'm going to hand this back over to you, but thank you all so much for really just starting to encourage the dialogue of how critical all of our work is to continue to build partnerships and expand long duration energy storage and solar. Alex.
Yes, thanks so much, Julia. We're out of time, but I really appreciate Julia yourself as well as all the speakers who joined us. My apologies again for the translation for those of you who are tuning in a different language. But I think this is an extremely productive discussion. I hope we've all come away with the sense that, solar plus LDES really is the solution, not just for kind of decarbonization in 2030 or 2040 or 2050, but in terms of providing reliable, affordable power today. So I hope this webinar is the first of many such discussions. Please do reach out to us or the Long Duration Energy Storage Council. We'd be happy to talk further and discuss further how solar and LDES can work together to meet the needs in your country. So with that, thank you all so much and have a great evening / afternoon / morning, depending on where you are.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all. Stay well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.